Hey everybody, this is Craig from 9 Volt Games, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about Shenmue, or Shenmue, however the fuck you want to pronounce it. First off, okay, so I love this game. I played it on Dreamcast. I played it multiple times on Dreamcast. I'm very excited that they did the HD. I don't even call them remasters because of some complaints that I have, but they give HD treatment. It's still the same graphics, everything. Please, I'm going to say this in the beginning of the video. I'm going to say this at the end of the video. If you have never played Shenmue before and you're interested in Shenmue because Shenmue 3 is coming out next year, if you play these games and don't just watch videos online, please remember how old the game is before you play it. That's the word of advice I gave to people when I first bought this and I started putting Instagram pictures and all that stuff about, and that's what I'm going to say to everybody who plays it. They did not add anything to this game that would make it fantastic. So this is still just the straightforward game that you played on Dreamcast or Shenmue 2 if you played it on Xbox. It's the same game. They didn't change shit except polish off the jaggies. So I like to call this the PC version of the Dreamcast game. That being said, there is some things they could have fixed and they did not fix. So let's get the bad out of the way. I don't know how well you can hear it right now, but there's somebody talking. They couldn't, I mean, I don't know how it was recorded back when they did the voice acting in this game, but back when it first came out in 1999, the shit was phenomenal because there was so much dialogue in the game that I think the sound quality kind of took a back seat, and I'm sure it had to do with the limitations of the hardware and the disc space, even though there was, 4 discs for Shenmue. But what really irritated me is that we have a newer version of the game, and everybody still sounds like they stood in front of a microphone and then put an aluminum can in front of their face and started talking. So that irritates me a little bit. I think most of the cons that I have for this game are because it's 2018 and this game originally came out in 1999. And it's kind of like, you had the time, you went over your goal for Shenmue 3. I know you went back and asked for money, but you went over your initial goal. Like, could have put a little money into this. Maybe fix the control scheme. Tighten it up a little bit. The detection on certain items, if they put 2 actionable items right next to each other, if you're not perfectly lined up. Like my example is once you access the harbor, they have a map with the time. I mean, they have a schedule with the times for the bus, and then they have the bus door right here. So I think I'm lined up at the bus door, and I keep looking at the schedule and keep looking at the schedule until the bus goes away. And that's really irritating. There are some glitches that I actually remember from the Dreamcast version, and it's not so bad for me because I played the game and beat it so many times that I understand like what's going on. So, you know, it's a non-issue for me. It's more irritating than anything. But there'll be some times where it's cutscene, not just going up and talking to somebody, like an actual story arc cutscene, and the camera will swing into a wall and it'll stay there. So there's dialogue, but all you're seeing is like some really gross pixelated vomit from 1999, and there's nothing else going on. The combat could have been tightened up. The combat was like a really weak version of the worst bits about Virtual Fighter 1. Alright? So, the combat really did feel like Virtual Fighter 1. There's a lot of moves that you can get in the game, but it doesn't make a huge difference until you're in the 70-man battle in Shenmue 1 with all the moves, because the fights are so easy, you're going to win them regardless. Except for the one that you have to lose. But other than that, I mean, there's not a bunch of complaints. There's ones, like I said, that because I'm spoiled with open world games now, I mean, well, back in 1999, this was, you know, the pinnacle of open world games. You could not touch this until Grand Theft Auto 3 came out in terms of open world immersion. But nowadays, you know, if you have something to do at 7 o'clock in the game, and it's you know, noon, you're waiting. There's no way to fast forward time. I wish there was a way to fast forward time. I wish there was a way to fast travel that wasn't just exiting your front door and giving you 3 locations and then your yard. You know, even in Elder Scrolls, they have the ability to like rest and wait and speed up time, and you can't do this in this game. There's no press a button, see a map. That would be really helpful. I mean, I know it helps with the immersion of the game, and it helped with the game length and the fact that, like I said, you can't skip time. So you have a lot of time to walk around and explore or go gamble or whatever you want to do. But it would have been nice especially for people who are going back and playing this again. Just a, quick refresher. Press a map button on the fucking controller. Open up the map. Look at it. Be like, okay, I need to go to this house. I need to go, to this business. And they didn't do that, and I don't understand why. So when I say this is the Dreamcast game, it is directly the Dreamcast game. I don't have my controller, so I'm not gonna show you. But like, even when you go to save, it still shows the VMUs from Dreamcast. So this is straight up the original game. Now, with those complaints aside, the fact that they didn't touch the game also is a plus for me. They didn't add anything stupid. They didn't, take away from the lore or any of that. So while this game was open back in 1999, by 2018 standards, it's extremely, extremely restricted. The areas you can explore are very tiny, and you will know them like the back of your hand by the end of the game. But it's odd because what happens is now in open world games, every character is not unique. They're just generated NPCs, and some of them have to do a story, and some of them just are non-interactable. Even in Elder Scrolls, there's a bunch of people there who are just, nonsense. And what I like about Shenmue is they put a lot of detail into their characters, not graphic-wise, but everybody has a daily schedule. And sometimes the schedule changes on weekends. And every character, whether they talk to you or not, has an awesomely deep backstory. They used to have this thing on Dreamcast called Shenmue Passport, where you could go in and upload scores, but not only that, you could read, in the character viewer, you could read background stories on all these people in the town that you interact with. And I think that was fucking phenomenal. I mean, Shenmue Passport obviously doesn't work online anymore, but you can still find all this stuff online. But like, there's one guy who doesn't talk to you. Whoa! Hey! There's one guy who doesn't talk to you. And he's always walking around in a suit and a briefcase. And then if you go in the character viewer and you read it, you find out that this dude was, his business went bankrupt, and he doesn't have the balls to tell his family that he does not have a job. So he walks around town all day with a briefcase and a suit. And like, just that depth of the characters, and the fact that after you play the game for a while, you know where to find somebody at a certain time. Like, this dude's always here eating hamburgers for lunch and then going back and fixing his bike. And you can find these certain characters in a bar. And I think that was really awesome. So while the game is limited, the content in it, or the love that they put into each character, and the depth that they put into each character, no matter how badly voice acted they are, because it is terrible. Like, my wife won't even sit there and listen for 5 minutes without laughing her ass off because it's so bad. But that's the charm of it, because it reminds me of an 80s kung fu flick. And so, even though I've been spoiled with all these open world games, I can still go back and I can play a game that I have played multiple times, and it's still got that weird magic. The pace of the game is very slow. It's a very chilled out game. There's not a whole lot of action, and then when you get into the action, it's not like over the top fantastic, like, oh my god, this was worth the wait to get into a fight. So it's hard. It's hard. I was playing Destiny 2 with people the other night. Yes, I'm playing Destiny 2. And I asked, I was like, did everybody get Shenmue? And some people were like, I don't even know what that is. And I was trying to explain it to them, and it doesn't sound good when I'm explaining to them. And I don't think anybody can truly do justice to Shenmue in the game that it is. But it's a phenomenal experience. And if you've never played Shenmue, I'm telling you, just try the game out. Try it out. Because you might like it. Especially if you like open world games. I mean, where you get to make choices, your choices don't affect the end at all. You always have the same ending. But it's just the impact that these people will have on this certain character's life, and the impact you have on their life, and the way the story unfolds. It was really well done. And I'm very excited for Shenmue 3. I'm glad they did this. This was a game I actually wanted to stream, and then realized it's not really stream friendly. But because of the pacing of it, I don't understand why anybody would watch this stream of this game. But like I said, if you're interested in Shenmue 3, you're doing yourself a disservice by not playing these games. But if you play these games and you've never played them before, like I said in the beginning, please remember that this was from 1999, and Shenmue 2 is not far removed from it. It's pretty much the same game. So, thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you get some Shenmue. Hopefully you guys are excited for Shenmue 3. And like I said, I'm playing Destiny 2 if anybody wants to play. Thank you guys for watching.